You're listening to Living with Lewy. Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of Living with Lewy. Today, I'd like to um, delve into a area that I have come to call finding a purpose in the pain, and I guess some of the things that we experience. And I've talked about this before, where the processes that we go through are very much similar to the stages of grief that you would go through if you lost a loved one. And those stages of grief are denial, which I will say that when I first was diagnosed, I was like, no, not me. But um, so I definitely went through the denial, and then anger is the next stage. Anger, I will guarantee you that the anger that I've experienced has been mostly anger at all of the things that this has taken from me. Um, and the anger is oftentimes manifested with frustration, which we talked about in the previous episode. Then comes the bargaining time when it's like, why me, not someone else? Why is it that I ended up with this? Well, the reality of it is it doesn't discriminate, and no one has ever signed up for this. But unfortunately, there's plenty of us that have it. Then I went through a period of depression, and I talked about that in my episode on the rabbit hole of the depression that you go into because all the things that you read are all the things that this disease can do to you. Um, there's just not a lot of stuff there that's positive. So after depression comes acceptance, accepting your diagnosis and accepting the fact that it is you. And the other thing that I would like to say is that it is me. I know, and more than likely it's you or one of your loved ones, and you probably have been through all of these different stages that happen in the grief process. And I was at one of my support groups, and they were talking about an acronym that they call ASAP. Acceptance, accept the fact that, yes, I do have Lewy body dementia. The next thing is socialization. Uh, Remaining as social as you can is important, and talking with other people is important. And I'm, I think this is a difficult one because I know that a lot of people that I used to look on as friends will see me, and you can tell that they're deliberately avoiding me. And a lot of times it's because they don't know what to say or how to interact with me um, and my disability. Um, the thing that I can say is if you take and look at the word disabled, take the D off the front, take the D off the back, and you're left with is able. Those are the things that I think you have to start to focus on. Is not the things that you can't do, but the things that you still can do. And that goes into the next piece of this acronym, which is attitude. And I think that you have to, I know that for me, there are projects that I have done that took me far longer than what it would have ever taken me before. However, I do get to the end, and then I find the satisfaction and the gratification of having uh, completed it. Um, but not that doesn't say that it gets completed without a great deal of frustration. But I find that larger projects, if I start them and I start where it's not going so well, or then I have to put it down and come back to it. And that's why they take so much longer, because a lot of times there may be days that I go by before I can get there and get back to the project that I was working on. And then the next part of this is purpose. I know that I lost uh, a lot of my purpose, just being at the point where I can no longer stay employed, just not being able to be the provider that I once was. Not uh, Just so many aspects of things that I have I've lost it, that it was difficult for me to find purpose. And with working with my team of therapists, I have found a purpose, and that is to raise awareness of what it is like to live with Lewy every day. And so in this purpose that I found of sharing my story, I've had to remove my mask, if you will, and open up my heart and my soul and share with the world some of the things that I go through living with Lewy body. And I am not alone. And one of the things that I found was feeling isolated, feeling like no one understood, um, is what led me to where I am today, in sharing my story, and feeling of isolation that I've heard a lot of people say and talk about. Um, I think that sharing my story and having others uh, that have shared their stories here with us, uh, it's it makes you feel less isolated, and it makes hopefully makes someone else know that they're not alone in their journey. Um, the the fact that that this has been listened to in many countries and many cities around the world let me know that there's plenty of people out there that must feel isolated. And the purpose of me sharing my story is not only so people will not feel alone, but their loved ones and their caregivers um, can perhaps um, gain a perspective of what it's like for us to live each day with Lewy body dementia. Is It's certainly a moving target, and you don't know what you got till you get up in the morning, and oftentimes it changes throughout the day. I know I said earlier that, I kind of lost my purpose when I lost my ability to be employed. Uh, but some of the things that have helped me, and this is just me, is that there's definitely things that I contribute still. Um, I know that it's hard not being the main provider, but there's been a shift in the roles, or a modification in the roles that my wife and I play, and she has become the primary breadwinner. But I've had in order to help, well, her and us together, I have taken on more of a role of trying to help keep the house cleaned up, try to make sure I get the kitchen area cleaned up, take care of the laundry, try to take as much off of my wife's plate as I can. And so we've modified these roles, and it's not that I don't contribute anything, because I do. It's the contribution now comes in a little bit different form than what it did before. Um, Another thing that I've had to learn how to do is to ask for help, and that's difficult for me, or has been difficult for me, because I've always been a kind of do it yourself person. But you know, I'm learning that I have to be able to ask for help, and not only do I need to ask for it, but I need to accept help when it's offered. One things that my wife wanted, this above ground pool in the backyard, and I didn't see when or how I was going to accomplish that. And one of my sisters shows up here with um, her better half, if you will. And they just kind of took charge, and up went this pool, and lo and behold, it's done. And my sister told me best: accept the help when people want to give it to you. They wouldn't offer if they didn't want you to accept. So be willing to accept the help, and know that their intentions are all good for you. Um, I'm not sure exactly how to tell other people where their purpose is, but I do know this: that um, there is life after the diagnosis of Lewy body. And the thing that you have to do, I think, is find that what what you enjoy doing. Don't give up on the things that you used to enjoy doing. It may take you longer, but you can probably still get some of those things done. I know that for me, that's uh, that's kind of how it goes. As a project gets started, and it may take a long time, but if it gets done, and then I'm happy, so there is life after the diagnosis. You just need to get to that point where you can find what's fulfilling for you. And for me, this podcast, I came about this and said, if I can help one person, then I think um, I'm be happy. The reality is I've had a number of people reach out to me and tell me um, that it's helped them to hear that that's not, it's not just uh, them that ends up with a dump truck full of frustration, uh, and that happens to other people. And um, I find that to be um, very gratifying, and gives me every reason to continue. I um, I at times have a difficulty with taking off the mask and going forward, um, speaking from my soul, and just trying to be as open as possible about what I experience, because that is what living with Lewy is really all about. I don't try to mask any of the symptoms that I I have. I just kind of try to roll with them. I find that that gets goes hand in hand with acceptance of where this diagnosis is, and that I'm just thankful that I was given a purpose and found a purpose, because I think everyone needs to have a feeling that that they're still viable, and they're still able to contribute. We may not contribute the way we used to, but I guarantee you that if you look, you find ways that you can modify roles and still get the feeling of satisfaction that you are contributing um, and participating in life. There is, and I've seen this said in the some of the groups that I've been around and involved with, and I think that it's a very good reminder to tell people, look, there is life after this diagnosis. This diagnosis is not the end. It's just puts a change on things. And there's there's one of my doctors said to me, and that you need to understand that, yes, although you have this, um, you have to accept that you're never going to go back to who you were. You have to accept that this is the new you, and move forward. And we will do our best to treat any things that arise. And it was a pretty harsh slap when he told me that, but he told me he felt like I needed to hear it, and he was not wrong. So I would challenge you to um, take a good look and find for yourself where you can find purpose in the pain, because this is not an easy disease to live with and navigate. But find yourself a purpose, and you'll find that there is still life after a diagnosis of Lewy body.
Please remember, folks, that we are 100% voluntarily funded by our listeners. So please go to the link and at the bottom of your favorite podcast provider, and you'll find a link there that says support the show, or you can find us on GoFundMe under Living with Louie podcast, and every dollar counts, and every dollar helps. So please take a minute and go in and support the show. We certainly would appreciate it. The only thing we try to do is cover our operating costs and equipment maintenance costs. So we thank you and have a great day.
We'd like to thank you for joining us for this edition of Living with Lewy.